come up and she comes up, and thank you, Rob, for reminding us that Luis Viniegra had an impact across the entire Southwest, and that he always kept the spirits, even when he struggled in the last 2 years. He always kept a certain optimism, a positive attitude. He just never let it get him down. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Well, Rob shared a lot of what I was going to say, and I think that happens in relationships a lot, right? One person does all the work, the other person takes all the credit. That's one thing that Luica taught me, is to have a sense of humor, no matter what. I too met my brother through the Res Riders Indian Motorcycle Club. I remember attending that first meeting. It was very cold. Walked into a room of bikers, hairy, stinky, dirty, lots of leather. And here I am, like about 6 months pregnant, right, Rob? And I know they were all looking at me like, what is she doing here? So we sat through the meeting. All the guys were talking to Rob and asking him, you know, what's your interest? Where do you come from? Where do you ride out of? What kind of bike do you have? What kind of community service are you involved in? What other riders? Have you ever been in any clubs? Do you know any cops? You know, all these questions, and I'm just sitting there listening and keeping as quiet as I can, which is very difficult, which my inner circle will tell you that. And towards the end of the meeting, the guys got up to eat, shake hands, and talk, and I still hadn't said a whole lot. And I see Luica going like this to me. And so I walk over and I say, good afternoon, sir, and shake his hand. And he said, no one asked you any questions today. And I said, yeah, that's right. And he said, that was their mistake. You too are a force to be reckoned with. And I apologize on behalf of our gender, how sometimes we forget our women warriors in the room. And I see, like I see in this man over here, something special about you. You are a life giver. But I also see, just by the way you're looking at me, you're an ass kicker. And he looks over at Rob and he says, I'm going to pray for him. And that started our great relationship and my introduction into the motorcycle rider family and what that was all about, and how no matter how rough and tumble it was, there was so much heart, so much passion, and so much commitment as a family. Luica taught me so much about what it meant to be in a biker family, that oftentimes that blood is thicker. Oftentimes that loyalty required more sacrifice. Oftentimes that family is who showed up in the middle of the night. And I was reminded of that again this past year when I lost my son. Who showed up? My biker family. Who prayed for me? My biker family. Who held me? My biker family. So Luica lives on in me and in my children, and will in my children's children's children. That warrior spirit, that knowing no matter what, we are familia. I will always be his hermana. And the last time I saw my brother, Saturday, August 10th, 2024, I knew I hadn't seen him in a long time, and I knew that he really wanted to come to a chapter meeting. And I hadn't been in a while, so I asked Wheels if it would be okay if I could come. And It was held at one of our brothers' houses, and we walked through the door, and there's that big smile. You know, it just lights up the room. And I went right to Luica and Chicano and hugged them and started leaking like I am now. And I was just so happy to see him. And the brothers went on about their business. They had their meeting, they had their agenda. And it was such a gift to have Luica's wisdom and strength in that room to remind us of why the Res Riders was founded, to remind us that we live in the spirit of truth, no matter what, to remind us that we are family and we are for the people. And at the end of the meeting, he said that he had something for me. And he asked me to come to him. And I had no idea that that would be the last time I would see my brother. But he said, Hermana, I want to give you my Special Forces crest pin. Even though you are a woman, you are a warrior. Don't ever forget your strongest weapons are your heart and your mind. As a female, you will not always be the biggest person in the room. But don't let that ever intimidate you, because you are a woman of our community. And I was a little taken aback. I thought, why would Luica give me a Special Forces pin? And to be honest, I didn't really know what that meant until afterwards. As is my way, I go research. You know, what does this mean? What do I do with it? How does this impact my path? And so I read about the Special Forces crest, and I want to share that with you. The Special Forces crest insignia was adopted in 1960 and approved as the Special Forces Regimental Designator in 1984. Its design reflects both the lineage and mission of Special Forces. In 1890, the crossed arrows were officially prescribed as uniform insignia for the U.S. Army Indian Scouts, who served through the American West from 1860 through 1939. In 1942, during World War II, a joint special operations unit was established to conduct operations behind enemy lines. Members of this first Special Service Force wore the historic cross arrows as their branch insignia. In the current Special Forces crest, the intersecting dagger represents the V-42 dagger issued to each member of the force. The encircling scroll, which arches at the base, bears the motto, De pros, de impreso, liber, which translates from Latin, to free the oppressed. And I got it. What Luica always stood for is the underrepresented, those that could not fight for themselves, those that needed more support. Our brown people, our children, our immigrants are underrepresented. And that's why he gave me that pin. And that's why he was a warrior for the people. And that's what we carry forward. With whatever wars or interactions or issues that cross our paths, we as a community defend the oppressed. So I appreciate him as a mentor, as an elder, and all those long phone calls that I too would get, and all the wisdom he imparted, all the humor he gave me. And I hope that will ripple out into our community and continue to live in all of us. Thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about my relationship with Luica.
Thank you.